Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another tea talk. This is a big deal right now. If you're watching this video, I don't know if you'll even know if you're listening. You probably won't, but if you're watching, you might notice. Look at that, I'm wearing a mic. This is an extremely exciting moment because I have been a YouTuber for so long. I've been making videos for so long, and I feel like I'm one of the only people that's managed to not do something about my sound. You already know on my day in my life videos, I handle it. I got a really nice mic. I'm actually at some point planning on hopefully recording music at home on that mic. It's like a really nice mic. But this mic is really cool because it's actually super simple and it hooks up to my phone. Also, I'm really hoping I can hear a gardener somewhere in the distance, and I feel like that's gonna be really annoying in this video. So I hope either it's not annoying, or I hope whoever is mowing their lawn or doing some type of gardening with an electric tool wraps it up soon. Guys, there are so many reasons I wanna move out of the city. We're not gonna go into that right now. I love Nashville, but I'm so ready to get out and get more space. Car. You probably could have picked up on that with all of my homesteading ventures now, but people making loud noises all around you is one of the reasons I think I'm kind of antsy to move outside of the city. So today I am doing the long-awaited, highly anticipated vitamin, I don't even know what we're gonna call it, my vitamin philosophy, my vitamin routine. Oh my gosh, I was literally about to give up, just go inside and film. I was like, people can't deal with this loud hum in the background. And then they stopped. So here we go, vitamins. So I've mentioned it about 652 times that I've been nervous to make this video because, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical expert. You should not take my word or my opinion as being someone that is any kind of medical expert. I get a lot of comments from you guys that are so sweet and well-intentioned saying that I'm your health guru. And don't get me wrong, my ego will take that. I'll totally be your health guru in my ego. But the reality is, I truly believe everybody is different. Everybody has different needs and, different needs. Car. Oh, that's my neighbor. Hey, neighbor. The other reality is, like I said, I'm not a health expert. And the biggest reality, and this is something that I think applies across the board, in every area of life, we are all responsible for our own actions, for our own decisions. And so I don't even think you should ever look to someone else and just be like, that's what they said, that's what I'm gonna do, no matter how much you admire them. You should really take your action and what you choose to implement into your life as, your own decision and your own reason. So just think of me as a friend that's telling you what I've done and why. And if you look up to me, that's great. Like I said, my ego will take it, but take that information, go down your own, wormhole of research, do what you want with it, talk to your doctor. But yeah, I don't want to hold this back anymore. And here's the other thing too. My last tea talk, was another stark reminder. Stark's maybe a little bit of a dramatic word, but it was another reminder that, you can't make everyone happy. It was really interesting because I swear we're gonna hop into this, but I'm just gonna reflect. The last tea talk that I did was on the subject of hypocrisy in general. And nothing anybody said to me, I don't even think there were any comments that surprised me. And that's not to, discourage interaction or comments, because I do like seeing what you guys have to say. And more than that, I enjoy the conversations that you guys often have amongst yourselves, right, in the comments. But what I mean by that is it's weird when you're on the internet for a long time, if you're paying attention and you're not just haters gonna hate, I'm not listening to any of the haters. If you're paying attention to what people are saying, it kind of becomes fairly easy to predict when you are gonna say something that's going to trigger a certain perspective. And it's really interesting because a lot of people will say that I just blabber in circles, which I'm the first to say that and kind of admit that. But also part of the reason that I talk and talk and talk and talk is not only because I have an interest in finding out lots of perspectives, but also because I feel this desire to fully flesh out thoughts. Because I feel if I don't fully flesh out thoughts, then people frequently take things in a way that I did not mean it. And so yeah, it's funny. Funny is the wrong word, but I feel in general, a lot of the things that were said to me in that video were things that I I knew it. I knew they were going to be said. And it's always a question of like how much you explain yourself and how much if someone says something and calls you out on something that you go back and you clarify, right? So I say all of that because I already know what's going to be coming in this video. And to those of you that like my work, and, you know, like my videos, you might be like, why are you even explaining all of this in the beginning? But vitamins, you know, guys, look at what's going on in the world right now with all of the health stuff. Health is a very sensitive subject. A lot of subjects are very sensitive right now, but health is a very sensitive subject. It's a very personal subject. And so, you know, I made a video, another video I made, if we want to call it a tea talk, was on my virus story, a virus that my sister and I had back in high school. And it's interesting because those comments, it's also very similar. A lot of people saying things that I'm like, I didn't have a chance to fully give you the whole history. And so, you know, I get a little nervous in explaining all of this, but I did bring out a giant bucket of vitamins, kind of like my basic, but it's true. These are kind of like my basic daily vitamins, but I have taken more than this. And sometimes in general, I do take more than what is allotted here. So I'm going to start off kind of by explaining to you a little bit of how I got into taking supplements. I got into vitamins. My neighbor's leaving again. Bye, neighbor. So to those of you that have been following my channel for a long time, you know that my household, my parents, the way that I was raised, was pretty health conscious. And I would say from my childhood up to my teenage years, I was living in my parents' journey of health, of pursuing wellness. I feel like my parents just kind of went through this journey of gradually getting healthier and healthier. Also, like low-key reversing in their aging. Like my parents look amazing. They're in their mid-60s. And I'm always just like, you guys are so like, hashtag inspiration, okay? They're very youthful in every sense of the word, in their minds, in their bodies, in their appearance, you know, the way that they carry themselves. And I've watched that kind of happen over the years as well. And I do feel like part of what's contributed to that has been their focus on health, wellness, well-being, diet, and supplementation. My parents, actually supplementation was probably my parents' biggest kind of initial dive into health and wellness. They've been a big fan of supplements, like I said, since I was born. And then I watched that concept and that pursuit of wellness really start to bleed into everything else, in the way that they ate, their exercise routines, all kinds of treatments. Like, dude, I come from a family that like very rarely do people bring up like treatments or new like woo-woo-wee-wah like health things that I haven't tried before. And oftentimes I tried it like years ago. Like it'll be something that actually one thing was presented to me recently by a doctor and I was literally like, yeah, I tried this like, how old am I right now? 32. Yeah, I tried this like 15 years ago. So there's a lot of, I say all of that because my family, like I just grew up immersed in it. And the thing is LA, which is where I'm from, to those of you that don't know, LA is very into, like there's a lot of holistic, natural medical practitioners in Los Angeles. I feel like I've seen all of them. That's not true, not even close. But I've been to a lot of different kinds. And so I say all of that as, you know, kind of giving you history and insight that this is not something new for me, this pursuit of wellness and, you know, vitamins. And oftentimes there's a lot of stuff that I can't even remember, like things that I came to conclusions over a while ago, and I don't really remember like what did I read that brought me to that conclusion, because it's just been such a long journey. And actually that just triggered my mind. Something that I want to address before I dive into these vitamins, speaking of which, is a question that I get asked a lot. This is so random, but not really, because we're talking about health and wellness. And that's soy. Wow. I was about to go down a whole wormhole or a tangent on soy, because I get asked a lot about why I avoid soy as like a generalization. I'm not gonna go down that rant, but I'll give you the quick summary, because now like having the thought is like a scratch that needs to be itched. Soy, it tends to be very processed, and it tends to mimic estrogen in the body. And in general, we don't really want like a huge imbalance in our hormones, right? We want to keep our hormones pretty balanced. I always say right like you guys are gonna answer. You're not answering me. Nod along. Balanced hormones, which I actually will be talking about a little bit in my vitamins because I take something specifically for that. Balanced hormones are so important. Our hormones are essential for running like most of our body. Like hormones have to do with mental health. Hormones come into play with obviously our fertility. Hormones, on a side note, have a lot to do with the birthing process, which is yet another topic that I'm not going to go on. Gosh, my brain is like a ping pong, or like a what are those machines, like the pinball machines? It just bounces back and forth. But hormones, it has a lot to do with pregnancy, with birth. I am going to be doing a home birth tea talk, by the way, soon in life. I'm going to be talking to my midwife. I also have a friend who did a home birth as well that I want to bring on the channel. But hormones are so important. Hormones being out of whack can cause stress. Like I said, it affects your mental health. It can cause digestive issues. Hormones being out of whack can cause weight gain. It can cause sluggishness. It can cause sleeping problems. It can cause your libido to drop. Literally, your hormones being out of whack can cause just like a lot of problems across the board. So soy has been found by a lot of people to mess with your hormones. Now, I'm not super nitpicky about it. I definitely still have soy all of the time because soy is kind of one of those ingredients similar to like corn syrup or corn in general that tends to be like in everything. Like soy is everywhere. So really for me, avoiding soy, I'm now at a place in life where I just avoid soy in its obvious, in its obvious forms. So I found out first, by the way, like I had always known this information about soy, but back when I was a vegetarian and I started eating a lot of fake meat a few years in, I started noticing I was having huge breakouts, and they seemed to be correlated to when I would consume a lot of fake meat. And fake meat is typically made with soy. There's a lot of other kind of fake meat alternatives now, made out of like quinoa, wheat bulgur, whatever it's called, pea protein isolate, tempeh, although tempeh is a soy product, I guess, if I remember right. But there's a lot of different kinds now, but I kind of avoid it because I'm trying to keep my hormones balanced. And I think lots of things can affect your hormones. It's not so black and white. It's interesting because I have another friend that I'm thinking of either bringing on a tea talk or we might just be doing a collab together soon, but she's a nutritionist and she was talking about something similar to this on her Instagram, except it was about calories. And she was saying how it really bothers her when people say, if you want to lose weight, just track the calories that come in and the calories that go out. And she was like, calories are not that simple. It is not just eat this much and then put this much out and that's how you lose weight, because food is so intricately coded. The nutrients are it's so intricate in food, right? I'm not wording that right, but I think you get what I mean. And I actually used to be someone that counted calories very strictly in my high school years and back when I basically had disordered eating. I paid very close attention to calories. And through my health journey, I too developed the belief that it's not that simple. I get a lot of comments on my channel from people saying wow, you're so lucky you can eat that many calories and still stay slim. And, I will always, even though I know that I was about to say I will always say genetics. Genetics plays an important part of everything, right? A lot of people ask me about my hair, how do I get my hair so healthy? And I'm always like, genetics, skin. I had horrible acne in my late teens, early 20s, the kind of acne you would see at a doctor's office. And it definitely was genetics because my dad had the same thing. But what I was gonna say is there are actually a lot of doctors that believe that you're not doomed to your genetics, that typically it's nutrition or circumstances that can kind of turn on something that you had a potential for in your genetics. So I very much hold both beliefs. I always hold the belief of don't beat yourself up, genetics, but then I also hold the belief of hey, but make an effort, because a lot of people think that genetics is not holding you captive. It's not determining the path that your life is on, physically, mentally, whatever it is. So I say it hesitantly, but a lot of people will say that to me, how do you, it must just be a fast metabolism. But keep in mind, I come from a family that has struggled with being overweight. So I just, every body is different, but I just wanted to throw out there the concept of, I truly think there is something to weight loss, health, being more than just calories. And I know for myself, I strive to eat a very nutritionally dense diet. So I'm aware of calories, but I don't really monitor my calories that much because I truly have this belief that in general, if I give my body the nutrients that it needs, not calories, the nutrients that it needs, that it is going to be better able and better equipped to process those calories and use that energy to do what it needs to do in my body, to heal whatever it needs to heal, to knock down inflammation wherever it needs to knock down inflammation, to give me more energy for my next workout. I believe in the concept of nutrition over the concept of calories. Now, that's kind of a good, like, finally, Nikki, 16 minutes in and you're just talking about vitamins. But I feel like that is a good place to segue into, because really for me, taking vitamins goes along that same vein of being concerned about nutrition, because I have come to the belief that not only do pretty much most of us, if not all of us, not eat the way that we should be eating. We don't feed our body the nutrients that our body really needs. But on top of that, I've personally come to the belief that due to farming practices, chemicals, air quality, soil quality, that the food that we are consuming is not as nutritionally dense as it was, let's say 50, 60, 70, really like 100 years ago. I think that the food quality was different. I really do believe that. And so that's part of the reason why I subscribe to supplements, because I don't think that we're getting enough nutrients just through our diet. I know a lot of people vehemently disagree with that. And I get why, because my belief about vitamins is similar to their belief about diet. I'll explain. They believe that if you're eating enough of the right foods, there's no reason to supplement, because ultimately your body is going to digest and process nutrients from a food source better than it would from a pill source anyways. That tends to be their perspective and argument. And like I said, I partially agree with that, because I think it's a good idea when you are looking at vitamins to go through a vitamin company that sources its vitamins from a food source rather than creating that vitamin in a lab. Now, I'm not a stickler to that really by any means, because I don't think, like a lot of people think that if you take vitamins, you're just doing like expensive pee. I don't think that. And this is kind of like, this is another comment someone left. A lot of people left comments like this on my video about hypocrisy, basically saying like, well, that's nice that you're considering other people's feelings, but other people's feelings don't matter compared to the truth. And then they gave the example specifically of health professionals, and they said, I'm going to listen to what the experts say. But this is really important for you to know. Experts do not agree on everything. They don't agree on anything. Let me actually rephrase that. They don't agree on anything. And the thing is, the farther you dig into any topic, including vitamins, health, nutrition, wellness, you find out just how many experts exist in any given field and how many of those experts disagree on things. So side note, replying to that comment, yes, that applies to everything going on currently as well. There are lots of experts that do not agree. And so that's kind of where, you know, your personal decisions fall into play, is like, which experts do you trust and why? And so, you know, I keep saying all these things to kind of like cover my butt and have my own opinion, but also because I'm very passionate about that. I don't like it when people say things like that. Like, oh, well, that's nice, but your feelings don't matter. The experts matter. I'm like, you know that there are lots of different experts saying lots of different things, right? And the problem is, if you're not digging in and you're not going down the internet wormhole and looking around the world at different countries, at different schools, in different publications, a lot of times you won't find these other experts. But if you just do, it doesn't take that much searching to find that there are lots of different people at the top of their field, in every field, that have different opinions. And I think it's good to look at them so you can see what resonates with you. You know, I kind of feel this way even about like home birthing. I have a friend that really likes the concept of home birthing. She thinks it really makes a lot of sense, thinks it sounds cool, but at the end of the day, she does not resonate with birthing at home. And I am kind of simultaneously woo-woo-wee-wah enough to be like, follow that gut. I actually just got chills saying that, because I think there is something to following your gut, reading, research, hearing what people who you respect have to say about something, and even people you don't respect, right? Just hearing different opinions, but then ultimately choosing to go with your gut, because I think there's something to that you know, people will, there's a saying that's like, there's multiple ways of knowing something, right? That's actually a heavy conversation going on right now, that there's more than one way to know something. And so I do not want to discount that woo-woo wee-wah feeling of just like, it just doesn't feel right, or like, not for me. Follow that. So yeah, I don't even remember where I was going from there. I need a sip of my tea. So we're like 20-ish minutes in, and we're just going into vitamins. So I actually ran out of one of my vitamins that I've been taking regularly. I need to reorder, but I'm just gonna start diving in. So first things first, kind of random. Not random, but kind of random. And I take these things called Juice Plus. Now, every single vitamin I'm gonna show you, guys, I'm sweating so much. I love filming outside because it's relaxing and because the lighting is really good. But also, it has been so hot in the South lately. Anyways, I feel like I have a whole lot I could say about each vitamin that I'm going to show you. And this really is just like completely random, but starting with Juice Plus, what Juice Plus is, it's a company. Actually, this is so random. I did not know when I found them out. They're actually an MLM, a multi-level marketing company, and they only sell like a couple of products. They sell these, and then they actually sell the Tower Garden, which is the indoor hydroponics garden that I own upstairs. And that's actually how I found out about them, because I was really interested in that garden. And then I was like, what is this? And started researching more about these vitamins. And I've been taking them now for maybe like a year and a half. And basically what they are is they're not vitamins. They're technically called like a nutritional supplement, I believe. That's how they word this, or like a food supplement, because they're basically just dehydrated, powdered fruits and veggies, and each one is a different blend. So in this blend, you have apples and peaches, cranberries, oranges, mango, lemon peel, acerola cherry, pineapple, prune, date, beet. In this one, it's broccoli, parsley, tomato, carrot, garlic, beet, spinach, cabbage, lemon peel, rice bran, kale. And in this one, it's raspberry, bilberry, blueberry, cranberry, pomegranate, concord, grape, black currant, blackberry, elderberry, artichoke, and cocoa. And the way that they kind of market these, or the phrase that they use, is that it's filling the gap. That if you're not eating enough nutrition, you can take these and kind of add to your nutrition. Now, I always aim to get as much nutrition as possible in my diet first. But like I said in the beginning, I don't think even if you are eating a nutritionally dense diet, or you're aiming for that, I don't really think any of us are succeeding, because of my personal belief in how food has changed, right? So I like having that in my diet every single day. I take 2 to 3 pills from each bottle, because I like getting that extra burst of nutrients. Now, there's a lot of debate amongst that too, because even if you're taking supplements from a food source, like this kind of goes back to even like the argument for the raw food diet, for example. I was a raw foodist for a few months years ago, and they very much believe a specific like set of science or set of studies that say that once you kind of heat any food, you are not only killing the nutrients, so you're not making the nutrients even like digestible by your body, but you're also making that food toxic. A lot of the people that have promoted the raw food diet, scientists, doctors, whoever, they believe that something actually happens when you heat up food, and I don't remember any of the terminology because it's been so long since I was a raw foodist, that it basically can make food into a carcinogen, way more than just like, I feel like everybody knows the common kind of thought of like olive oil, if it's heated too much, becomes carcinogenic, but they have that belief about all foods. And, you know, even if you're dehydrating it, that can take away from it because you're removing, you know, water, and the water has a lot of like micronutrients in it. And, you know, part of me kind of believes that. I've read the science, I get what they're saying, but then part of me doesn't. Part of me is like, I don't believe that. This has got to be better than nothing. And I've watched a lot of people's testimonials, and I've read their science behind why they do this. And I mean, that's the thing kind of in general with the vitamin thing, guys, is I'm kind of just like, yeah, I don't really have anything to lose, because I've mentioned this before. People are not dropping dead in droves from vitamins in the way that they are from pharmaceuticals. And, you know, I'm not anti-pharmaceutical when it is appropriate. I just think in general, a lot of us tend to look to pharmaceuticals as being safe because it's been passed as safe. And I don't necessarily hold that belief, because all you have to do is look up the numbers of how many people are dying taking their prescriptions as prescribed by their doctors. So it's not like, oh man, they overdosed, or oh dang it, you didn't listen to your doctor. There are a lot of people dying just from having a reaction to a vitamin that they took as they were told to take. So there's also part of me with vitamins, like I do my research, I look into things, but then the way that I feel is I'm kind of like, well, what do I have to lose? I'm like, I know a lot of people that take vitamins that have never had a problem, that look great, that are very healthy. I don't know why I put looking great ahead of being healthy, but I mean, they have that aura of health about them. And I know quite a few people that fall into that category. And so that's just kind of the path that I've chosen to bet on and take. So there's that. We're gonna go on to this because I was talking about hormones. This is evening primrose oil. And evening primrose oil is known to be a vitamin that helps kind of balance female hormones. I can't give you any more detail beyond that because I don't actually remember what I read. I've known this for years. I used to take evening primrose oil a long time ago. I don't remember why. Maybe when I was trying out different things for acne. But the reason why I started taking this again was because when I got pregnant, it was a recommended supplement for that and some of the stuff that I was reading, not only internally, but also vaginally. So in the last month or so of my pregnancy, I was inserting evening primrose oil into my vagina every day because it was not only another way to get evening primrose oil into me, I would put it in at night before bed, but also I wanted my vagina as lubricated and moisturized as possible because one of my top goals was to not tear when I was giving birth, which I did not. But side note, my mom never tore either, and she delivered almost an 11-pound baby. My sister was almost 11 pounds, and she never tore. So going back to kind of the genetics thing, but I'm not someone that really relies on that, so I was still very paranoid. I'm not like my mom in a lot of ways, including our struggle with weight. My mom has struggled with her weight in a way that I never really have. And, she never had acne. I had severe acne. So I didn't want to just be like, oh, I'll be fine. My mom never tore. So this is one of the things that I implemented. I'm still taking this because I think it's good for my body and my hormones. I'm not putting it in vaginally right now. But I'm probably going to keep taking this because I thought I had mentioned this, but a lot of people keep asking me, Dan and I are going to try to have another biological child. We don't know how many. We're literally going to take it one child at a time. But we're going down that path of getting closer to the point in life where I'm like, okay, we're going to want to try again. I am 32 years old. I will be 33 next year. And there is a lot of science to back up the fact that at 33, you have a lot less eggs than you did before, right? It kind of goes down the older you get. But I actually have talked to a friend about this, and even though eggs, go down the older you get, I really think that by taking care of yourself, you can keep the quality of your eggs good. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. But I'm taking this because in my head, I'm taking all of these, right? I mean, I take a lot of vitamins in general, but in my head, I am marching towards getting ready to have another baby, if that's what God has for us. So I want to really take care of my garden, car, in the spirit of getting ready to hopefully carry another baby. All right, so speaking of carrying another baby, My Kind Organics. This is a prenatal gummy. Now, a lot of people after you give birth, they'll say, keep taking your prenatals just so you don't have this drop in everything, right? Hormones, nutrients, you're exhausted, you're not sleeping as well, the baby's taking your milk if you're pumping or breastfeeding or whatever. So they'll say, take your prenatals. So that's good anyways. But like I said, I'm also preparing my garden to hopefully grow another baby at some point. So the kind that I'm taking is from my Garden of Life, My Kind Organics. I actually think the My Kind Organics is part of, I think it's the Alicia Silverstone line, which Alicia Silverstone wrote a book. It was the first book I had ever read, maybe 13 years ago, about being vegetarian. And not only being vegetarian, but also and I can't remember the word, but it's the same type of diet that Gwyneth Paltrow follows, which I hate that I know that. That's really weird. But it's a diet based on eating locally. And so that's kind of just, her philosophy. She's vegan, she eats locally and seasonally, which is kind of implied. But I think this is her collaboration with them. and it tastes amazing. Also, I like that it's organic food sources that they're using to create this prenatal. Yeah, it even says in the front, real food dietary supplement. So that's kind of like this. It's based off of food. It's not like a laboratory developed chemical that is mimicking a nutrient, a vitamin, a supplement. It's based from food. So I take these as well. I'm trying to get better at taking these regularly though, because I'll go a few days and I'll be like, oh yeah, my prenatals. But yeah, these are really tasty too, which is kind of fun because the rest of my vitamins don't have any taste. I just swallow them. But at the same time, the taste is kind of annoying because sometimes I'm like, when do I do the taste? Because I have to eat it with food. So it's like, do I do it before my food or after my food? Because I don't want to get nauseous. I'm one of those people, I have to stack my vitamins really purposefully anyways in the middle of my meal, because if I take them before my meal, I get nauseous. If I take them after my meal, I get nauseous. I have to literally eat like half of my food, take my vitamins, and then eat the other half because I'm too sensitive. I've always been very sensitive to vitamins. But if I take them with food, I'm good. Dude, it's so hot out here. All right, so next thing. This is methylfolate, methylated vitamin B12. So the reason that I take this is because there's this genetic, what do you call it? A gene, can't think of the word. It's like not a deformity, a malfunction. I can't find the word, but it's when a gene has developed in a way that it's not supposed to or whatever, and it's very common. Apparently a lot of women have this, called MTFHR. This is even MTHFR, and this is MTHF methyl B12. So basically, if I can remember how to explain this, there are a lot of women can't actually like digest and process and break down B12. So by taking it in a methylated form, which don't ask me, I don't even remember what methylated means, but by taking it in a methylated form, your body is more easily able to absorb it. Methylated might even just mean like already broken down. I don't remember, but I found out about this, that I had this gene mutation. That's the word I was looking for. That I had this gene mutation like 10 years ago. And the doctor told me that this can actually mess with a woman's ability to carry a baby healthily for the mom and the baby to full term. It can cause a lot of birth issues or even fertility issues. And actually, I know someone in particular who had like 3 miscarriages and never knew the whole time that that was the reason why, because she wasn't properly digesting B12. And your B vitamins are like so important. In fact, the fact that I don't have a full B supplement in here is upsetting, because you really should be taking I think I should be taking, let me rephrase that, a full B spectrum. But I don't ever keep up on any of my vitamins perfectly. Like, stuff kind of comes and goes from my rotation. That's the other reason I was hesitant to make this. Like, I have a lot of regulars, but stuff kind of changes. And so like, I feel like up until recently, I was taking a full B spectrum, and I think when I ran out, I forgot to reorder it. I'll be doing that again soon though. But this B is extremely important, because even if you're eating it, if you have, to my knowledge, if you have this MTHFR gene mutation, your body is still not going to be breaking it down even from your food source. So that's the reason I take this. Also, the other vitamins that I ran out of that are not in here is a glucosamine chondroitin mixture, and I started taking that because I have a lot of joint issues, as you guys know. And when I dove down the wormhole of Ehlers-Danlos, which is another genetic issue that I think I might have, we've talked about this before. I have not been officially tested for it yet. I'm considering going that direction in life at some point. But glucosamine chondroitin, is that the right way to phrase it? I think so, is one of the recommended supplements for people with Ehlers-Danlos. So glucosamine is a good joint supplement in general, but I just wanted to throw that out there, that I take that as well. I just have to replace my order. All right, next up, I take vitamin C. You already know that. This is like a very random brand. I have nothing to say about this brand, but back at the beginning of when all of this, the pandemic was kind of blowing up and people started talking about vitamin C was sold out like everywhere. And so I had to buy a couple of brands that I didn't normally buy because I wanted to have the vitamin C on hand just in case Dan and I were to get sick, because you already know vitamin C, not only do I think it's great preventatively, but I also think that large doses of vitamin C is extremely beneficial when your body is fighting something. So I don't really know. Viva Naturals, cool. It's 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. That's the serving size that I like to take. I didn't address serving sizes really in any of these. I've mentioned this before. Vitamin serving sizes are not a huge concern to me because there's not a whole lot of vitamins that I think you could do a lot of damage to yourself with them. Now, that being said, don't take anything I say seriously. Google it for yourself. And actually, along that note, vitamin D is one of those that like you want to be a little more careful with because your body will actually store it. But that being said, most people do not have a problem with an abundance of vitamin D. Most people, I would say, have a problem of not having enough vitamin D. And vitamin D is one of those things that is as well really great for the immune system and keeping you healthy and fighting illness. I was about to go off on a whole separate tangent that my friend and I were talking about. Whatever, I'll summarize it. They did this study on like malnourished kids back in the 20s here in the States, and they ended up, after like not being able to figure out how to treat these kids, they just tried this new thing where they're like, okay, we're just gonna start having these kids be outside, feet in the dirt, in the sun, X amount of hours a day and see what happens. And all of these kids went from being like sickly, like not healthy children to be like these strapping healthy kids. So vitamin D, this is not the equivalent of the sun, obviously. Never can be. By the way, this brand Now is a brand that I like. They're not, to my knowledge, they're not food sourced. It is more like, you know, made in a lab type situation. But I find their stuff to be well priced, dependable, I think well made. I don't know. I've just gotten enough recommendations for the brand Now from people that I trust and respect that they tend to be a go-to if I need something basic and not super expensive. I go to Now. So I'm kind of going back and forth. So Viva Naturals vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams. I take, I'd say 2 to 4 to 5 grams. So 5,000, you know what I mean? Like 1,000 is 1 gram every day. And I take more if I feel like I'm fighting something, or I'm healing from something, like anything, like a facial procedure, an intense workout, tons of stress, whatever. Vitamin C is great for that. And vitamin D, I currently take about 10,000 IUs a day. So that's 2 of these pills. Vitamin D is the only thing other than cholesterol in the past, which that's a whole separate thing, that I've ever tested low for. And I was pretty low when I was pregnant and I got my blood work done. So I started taking vitamin D then. And I haven't really looked back. I sometimes take a little less. I'll get a little bit paranoid. I'm like, I'm only gonna take 5,000 today. But based on what I've been reading about vitamin D and how much most of us don't have and how much we need vitamin D, I'm really not concerned. And honestly, if and when I get pregnant again, I'll have my blood work run again and we'll see kind of where I am. But I think vitamin D is so helpful for us. And plus, my baby's getting a lot of vitamin D from me through breast milk. So that's the other reason I like taking that. Okay, so CoQ10, that is another one that I started taking when I fell down the wormhole about Ehlers-Danlos. Don't remember a whole lot about CoQ10 other than it's highly recommended vitamin for lots of different people with lots of different issues, and it tends to be very helpful for, cardiovascular health, for your heart. So yeah, I don't really have much to say about CoQ10 other than the fact that I take it. Another thing that I started taking when pregnant was iron, and this is from Garden of Life. I really like Garden of Life, and considering that it's all sourced from food, their stuff is like really affordable often. I mean, it's not all super affordable, and that's kind of the thing, like, people will talk to me sometimes about this with essential oils too, and it's constantly, that's a dramatic word, it's continuously a debate for me in my head, because I do think that often things that are higher quality are just more expensive, right? Because it takes more time, more work, more resources, more effort. It's not been cheapened down to be like an easy conveyor belt thing. But their vitamins kind of run the gamut. Some stuff, like their iron, I think is super affordable if I remember right, and it's from a food source. It's a raw organic fruits and vegetable blend. So like when you look on the back, it's like apple and beet, broccoli, tomato, blackberry, blueberry, like all of these types of things. And it's not super expensive. So I've been taking this since I got pregnant. Dude, I'm sweating so much. I thought this was gonna be like chill out here, and now I'm like drenched in sweat. So, okay, well, I have one more, and that is vitamin K2. And this is another vitamin that I started taking because of the wormhole of falling down the wormhole of Ehlers-Danlos. Wow, that was a mouthful. I don't actually remember why. I mean, it says on the cover, supports bone health, but that's kind of vague, and I feel bad I don't really have a lot of information to give you, but I feel like this kind of summarizes everything I've been saying. That I know a lot of people feel like the vitamin industry is just, you know, marketing or gimmicks or selling to us things that we don't actually need, right? Just like making you feel like I need this. But I just have personally come to the decision that I think vitamins are often a safer bet than pharmaceuticals, and I feel like a lot of people haven't done enough research to understand that there is a difference between preventative and maintenance in your health versus, you know, prescriptions, pharmaceuticals, which are very much like dealing with just what you have going on right there, and it's not typically, from what I know, going towards the root issue, depending on your case and your health and what you're treating. So I really like going the route of vitamins. It's kind of like we've talked about this before, right? Like life is a bet. You're kind of trying to play the long game. I could die tomorrow and none of this could matter, right? But I feel like it's a good bet. And so I'm just placing my bet in some vitamins, thinking and hoping that I'll live till I'm, you know, in my 90s or whatever. And I think it's just a good move for me to be taking vitamins. So that's kind of where I'm placing my bet. If you don't think it's a good move, don't do it. But that sounded more sarcastic than I meant it. But seriously, if you don't resonate with vitamins, don't do it. But if you've been looking at getting into vitamins, I want to encourage you to do some research, you know, dive in. I think vitamins can seem very overwhelming when you're going into them. But once you get in, I don't even know where I was going with that. Maybe like start with the basics. I think that that's always a really great place to start. So a multivitamin. You know, Garden of Life makes a great multivitamin. I kind of consider Juice Plus, like those three, my multivitamin. That's not what they are, but I kind of consider it that currently, and then I, you know, plug in with all of these other nutrients. But you could start with a multivitamin. Like I said, Garden of Life, I think, makes a few really good ones. They make a really great like woman's multivitamin, or you could do something like a Juice Plus. And then vitamin C, I think everybody could use vitamin C. That's a great place to start. And really from there, the world's your oyster. Oyster. You could do a vitamin B complex. Vitamin B is so good for you. And I think so many of us don't get enough vitamin B. I'm saying B as in boy, like B complex. Just, I wanted to clarify that because then next to that, I wanted to say looking at a vitamin D, like D as in dog, is another great place to kind of start. So there's also the option of like, you know, these vitamin services where you are able to take quizzes and they will kind of guide you to what you're looking for and what might be beneficial for you. So that's always an option as well. So I'm gonna wrap this up because I'm dripping sweat, but you can let me know if you have any questions. Check the info box. I will link all of the vitamins that I mentioned in this video. I do get a commission off of all of those links. So just know that if you buy from my links, I appreciate you and you're supporting me and my family. But buy whatever vitamins resonate with you. Like also don't feel like you have to go use my links. I'm sure you didn't feel that way, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Don't feel that way. But if you do, I appreciate it. So I'm just letting you know that too. So yeah, let me know if there are other topics or other questions, like if this needs to be a part 2 or there's something else in kind of the health, wellness, vitamin situation you want me to talk about. Just let me know because that might be a good thing for Tea Talk. And I hope that you guys liked the sound. I hope this worked. I hope I didn't just film this whole video and then it's gonna be like for nothing. With all of that being said, I will hopefully see you back here soon with another new video. All right, bye guys.